Welcome to the Real Estate Syndication Show. Whether you are a seasoned investor or building a new real estate business, this is the show for you. Whitney Sewell talks to top experts in the business. Our goal is to help you master real estate syndication. And now your host, Whitney Sewell.
Are you a new or experienced investor wanting to learn how to have a successful syndication business? Learn from the nation's leading syndication expert, my friend, Vinny Smile Chopra. He has created a multifamily academy where you will learn everything about deal analyzing to selecting emerging markets, managing assets, and much more. In the academy, you'll find over 500 lectures and templates to help you run a successful syndication business. Your membership also gives you access to Vinny every Wednesday through masterminding and coaching calls. Vinny came to the U.S. with only $7 and now is a CEO of 5 companies, acquiring and managing a portfolio of more than 3,500 units. He's completed 26 successful syndications ranging from 50 to 500 units and created a portfolio valued over $200 million in commercial real estate. He built the academy to teach and mentor investors like you to succeed. To learn more about the Multifamily Academy, text LEARN, L-E-A-R-N, to 474747 or call his team at 925-766-3518. This is your daily real estate syndication show. I'm your host, Whitney Sewell. Today our guest is Venkat Avasarala. Thanks for being on the show, Venkat.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, pleasure. I was reading through your bio, and it's obvious you're a great guest. You're going to be a great guest. You got tons of experience in this business, and you've worked 14 years in corporate IT and transitioned to multifamily syndication in 2016. I can't wait to hear about that as well. He founded Raven Multifamily in the Dallas-Fort Worth area with his business partner, Ramana Korada. Venkat has syndicated 10 multifamily deals with 2,400 units in DFW and Phoenix markets. And he even sold 3 of these properties to complete full cycles on them. Awesome. Well, Venkat, give the listeners a little bit more about who you are, and then let's dive in.
Sure. Like you said, I started out in United States. So I was born in India. So I came here at the age of 22, went to University of Alabama and got my master's degree in electrical engineering. Couldn't land a job in electrical engineering, so settled for IT. So worked for companies like ADP, T-Mobile, PepsiCo, and my last gig or my last employment was with Bank of America. I was with them for 6 years. So these 14 years, I worked in my corporate IT. And then last summer, in July 16th, 2018, is when I resigned from my IT job and started doing this full-time. But I did start my real estate career back in 2007 with single-family homes. So I bought about 20 single-family homes, all with my own money, over the period of 3-4 years. I still have about half of them, and I'm in the process of selling them as the tenants move out, because my focus is 110% on multifamily and no longer on single-family. So I started single families 2007 all the way into 2015. 16 is when I started multifamily, and I was doing, by the way, I'm doing this all alongside of my job, my day job. And then 16 is when I syndicated my first property along with my business partner, Ramana. And after that, we did 9 more and finally brought us where we are today.
Wow. That's incredible. So, but you were still working full time when you started the multifamily?
Yes, I did. It was like working 2 jobs. After 9 to 5, you got to come home and work till like 8 to 2 or something like that. I kind of killed myself, and same thing with my partner. He's an IT too. He was an IT too. So basically, we kind of walked away from our jobs around the same time last year. But we kind of enslaved us. It was a lot of grind. It was not easy at all, but completely worth it. And I would do it all over again if I have to.
Yeah. So, I think a lot of listeners can relate to that. I know I can, working, having a day job and getting a syndication business going, at the same time. It's 2 full-time jobs, and you got to be willing to jump in and
Sure.
just make it happen, whatever it takes. Right.
Absolutely.
So I guess take us back a little bit, why not continue this? You already had 20 single family homes, what changed your mind about that? What was it to go from single family now to just jump into full multifamily, like you said?
So before recession, there was no limit on number of Fannie Mae loans they give out. infinite, right? But after recession, they said, oh, you know what, only 4 per investor. And then they raised it to 10 and they left it there, right? So I took full advantage, doing 10 on my name, on 10 on my spouse's name. So we hit the 20 ceiling, at which point, in order to get the 21st loan, we had to sell one of them. We had to pay off one of these loans to get the 11th loan. It just didn't make any sense to scale from there. And I never figured that I'll be able to do syndication, raising money and all that. Just didn't trust myself enough. That's why I went single family route. And then it was just not enough. I mean, the 20 single family properties after PITI and maintenance was netting me about on average $400 per month per property. That's $8,000. I mean, not less or anything, but still, I wanted more, not something that would give me comfort to walk away from my day job. So then I started looking at, okay, what else I can do? And man, I looked everywhere. I looked at 7-Elevens, I looked at laundromats, I looked everything, but everything points like I'm buying myself another job, which is what I'm trying to get away from, right? So then finally came back to real estate and then went into apartments, because I figured that there will be much more, they will weather much more, because you cannot get away from the experience we all went through in the 2008 Great Recession. So it's always on everybody's mind, not just mine, everybody's mind. Whatever we want to do, hey, how will we fare during the next recession, right? So I looked into this strip malls, hotels and things like that, and finally landed on apartments because I figured that they weather well during the recession.
Nice. No, I appreciate you explaining that. I know a lot of people have, transitioned from single family. They've gone through those steps, and tell me, how did you know when it was time to leave your day job? And because I know a lot of listeners can relate to that as well. You're working, you're doing 2 full-time jobs. When was it like, okay, I know I can make this happen over here?
Sure. So I was doing very well doing both of them, but on my day job side, there was a reorg and I accepted a different position. So as soon as I joined into the next position, it was very exciting, something brand new. That's what we look for, right? Otherwise, it becomes like a big chore to show up for the job every day. So I was managing a huge team. I mean, I got process in place. Everything was going well, and the reorg happened. I accepted another job within Bank of America, and I quickly realized, you know what? This job, in order for me to do well, like it deserved to be done, 40 hours is not enough, at least for immediate future, next 3, 4, 5, 6 months. I got to spend more weekends and all that, whatever, so that I do the same thing all over again, my day job, which I don't have. My weekends and my evenings are not mine anymore because I gave it to multifamily, right? So I got to take care of this. A lot of investors gave me so much of their money, they trusted me, and I cannot just give it that time back to my day job. And when I figured that, hey, I cannot do that, I quickly made an assessment. Hey, how is my cash flow situation, right? I mean, and I was doing fine, then I figured, I should have actually walked away 6 months before or a year before. And when I figured that, on cash flow side, it wouldn't be an issue. It was a very easy decision actually, because that was the plan anyway, right? So might as well just go ahead and do it.
Yeah. So tell me about your first syndication.
So first syndication was a 100-unit deal in Norman, Oklahoma. It was a small deal. Had Ramana and me were in it, and actually we have another partner as well. So we joined an investment club because I really believe in education, right? Not just the university kind of education, but this is not a mistake. This is not a business where you can make a mistake and live to tell the tale, right? I mean, more often than not, because single family, let's say you pay $300,000 for a $250,000 house, it's okay. I mean, you're not going to lose your shirt. I mean, that's fine. It just fixes itself. But if you try to do the similar thing in multifamily, it's going to be really tricky, right? Because it's not even all your money. There's a lot of responsibility on your shoulders. So I figured that, I got to go get some education. So I joined an investment group, learned everything about multifamily, and also networked with so many people. Because what happens is when you're in these groups, you get to hear so many stories from different people and learn from their mistakes collectively, right? So that you don't have to make all those mistakes in the book. So that really helped me and gave me the confidence to make the first level. So it was a 100-unit deal. The raise was very small. I believe it's 1.2 million. Again, it gives immense boost that we could raise money. And as soon as we went into the deal, it was Oklahoma, and it's in 2016, and it was a nice college town and all that, but we really got into a quick trouble there with the occupancy and the quality of the tenants, because what happened in that particular deal was we bought this right off the main street on Norman, Oklahoma. A Panera Bread was there. Tells me that there's some discretionary income there, and also the household median income in the 1 mile radius is about $55,000. It's as good as it gets. I mean, for a BNC kind of product that we usually deal with. But what happened is, like, the oil kind of tanked, and Oklahoma, no matter what I would say, I still believe that it has a big reliance on oil. And when the oil tanked, went to $40 or $30, whenever it is, there was a lot of job losses, and I could feel it, right? And then what happened is all the A and B classes properties, they dropped their rent significantly. And owning a C class, I quickly find myself competing with a B, a 1990 property, 1998 property. I figured that it was tough, but we still turned a good profit for our investors. We gave them 35%. Overall 35% rate of return on their money in 2 years. So around 17 and a half annualized. So, but it was tough. We learned a lot. Basically what happens is when the going gets tough, it puts you and your property management company talking to each other a lot more and try to brainstorm, figure out, try something. If it doesn't work quickly, pivot from there and try to get it. So it expedited my learning quite a bit. That small 100 unit property, I learned so much from that property than my 300, 400 unit properties, because, that was our first property in a challenging market.
Wow. So, going into that deal, you didn't see the oil tanking. You didn't know that was going to happen, right? Or how that was going to affect, your property. So, looking back, how do you guard against something like that from happening in the future?
So this is the valuable lesson I learned. So there is a lot of markets where there is a feast of famine kind of situation. Let's say you look at Florida, you look at Las Vegas, you look at Phoenix. By the way, these are the top 3 hottest markets right now if you want to look at rent growth and all that. But coincidentally, these are the 3 markets which got crushed in the last 2008 recession, right? So that makes me think that, hey, if you want to own something for 5 years. 5 years is a long, long time. A lot can happen in this 5 years. So we can only look back and what happened in the last 50, 60 years in that metro. And that's why I'm attached to DFW, not just because I live here, but because if you look at the stability ratio that the Feds put out, right? The Bureau of Labor, they kind of published this information. They look at the past performance, right? I mean, how the Metroplex as itself did with the current employment, past unemployment, and the stability is really important, right? So that's why the big thing that I learned is invest in stable markets. We don't want feast and famine kind of markets. And I'm not saying that, I still like Phoenix. We bought a property, we did really well, but it's just that you have to be extra careful with the markets which go up and down quite a bit than, boring markets like Dallas.
It makes so much sense. It's like the shiny object syndrome almost, right? It looks so good and it may be really good for a while, right? But then just really take a dip and hurt you a lot worse than if you were in a different market that maybe doesn't seem as hot at the time,
Yep.
but however is stable. And so any other ways that you can, that you're saying, when you're looking at markets now, or maybe a market that you're investing in now, where you're analyzing the market specifically and saying, okay, I feel very comfortable that this market's going to stay stable, through the 5 year or whatever your business plan is till you exit.
Yeah. Again, I only we only have 24 hours in the day, right? I mean, there's only so much. I don't believe in being jack of all arts. I want to be expert in few markets, right? So right. Dallas is definitely, we know. Phoenix, we know. We're trying to me and my partner is trying to learn more about the Atlanta market and a couple of markets in Florida. That's it. There's so many other great places, like Denver is a great place. Nashville, Tennessee is a great place. Charlotte is a great place. South Carolina has some few good markets. But then again, it's just, we don't want to dilute our, what we can do in these markets. So again, what we look for is definitely the market, and we don't want this reliance on this one big source of employment. Again, I heard the same thing about Houston, right? I mean, again, Houston has the story of reliance on oil. I keep hearing that they're being diversified away and all that. But again, being kind of gotten into this hot water situation with Norman, with Oklahoma, going into the Oklahoma, and now we're really, really careful. We look at the diversity of the employment, right? Because the employment is everything for us. Then we zero in on the locations, right? Location meaning the one critical factor that it's a deal breaker for us, right? Is that 1 mile household income, right? We gotta have at least if it's $1,000 income, $1,000 rent, pro forma rent, not the existing rent, but the pro forma rent is $1,000. Usually property management companies go with 2.5 times the rent, but we underwrite as if like we're going to require income 3 times that income. So people have to make $3,000 gross income times 12, 36. So 36, anything below 36, it's not gonna start, right? I mean, we don't want to go into that D space. Like C is where we want to stop. $1,000 is a good rent. It's a good market to be in. So that's the thing. I mean, the higher the better, obviously. So we are doing actually a deal in Fort Worth. It's called Xander. And the rents are about $980 our pro forma rents, but the income is $55,000. That's like, there's so much room there for me to grow the rents. I don't know, I'm putting 12-year debt on it. I'm underwriting as if I own it for 3 to 5 years. But even if I want to own it all 12 years, it should still work if you have that kind of margin between the rents and the median income. So these are the two. The market, once we zero in on the market, next thing is we look for the median income. And obviously we look at the nearby employment opportunities. Again, we have to be close to the highway, then all these other things which comes into the play.
Wow. So, you've done many deals just in a very short amount of time here, gaining lots of experience. So what was the key thing that allowed you to grow so fast? To move from, that first syndication where, I mean, obviously you learned a lot on that deal to, doing so many deals in a very short amount of time.
I mean, we kind of averaged 1 deal every quarter.
Okay.
Some people, I have seen some big syndicators doing 1 every other month or 1 every month. I was actually just having a meeting with some of my investors from Austin who happened to be in Dallas. I just had coffee with them. And they were like, hey, when is your next deal? When is your next deal? It's like, see, here's the thing. You can do all that. Organically, we have to grow. We need to have good people under us. As a matter of fact, we're hiring somebody with about 30 years of property management experience to work on our side, right? So once that person comes in, we'll be able to do a little faster, but we don't believe in faster, rather we believe in bigger. So if you look at our last 4 deals, then average size is about 350 units. So we actually believe in doing at least like one a quarter, but a quality asset that we don't want to buy a headache. That's another thing, right? So that's, and also we should be able to give attention. The first 3 months on every property is really critical, right? Managing the CapEx, putting right processes in place, course corrections and all that. And once you set it, then you don't need to work so much hard on that asset no more. But I mean, that's the thing. I mean, what I personally did is definitely I made sure that I go into every broker's office, meet them and shake their hand, not on the phone, drive up there, go meet people, and also be very clear on what you want. The more clearer anything in life, actually, and even if you want to see yourself, where do you want to see in 5 years? I always tell people, write it on a paper. Just don't leave it for imagination, and be as specific and clear as possible so that, and it just reveals itself what you need to do to get there, right? So I started with a humble goal of syndicating 2 100-unit deals in the first 12 months of my ownership, but I think we ended up doing something like 800. So it's always good to exceed your goal. So that's how I started. So basically developed relationships with brokers. And the second thing is equity, right? Equity is something that you always have to, not worry about, but work towards. So go meet up so many people at the meetups, conferences, build your database. Again, all the deals that we have done has been 506 Regulation B. So it cannot, you need to have pre-existing relationships, right? So luckily, being in a group, we were exposed to so many people, and that's how we got started. And then again, you have to worry about how do you impress them, right? I mean, how do you give them the confidence that you got it? You know
Yeah.
what
How
you're
do
doing.
you stand out from other syndicators or other people that are trying to meet them as well?
Right. So our investors kind of don't like our 2 to 3 hour webinars on a weekday night. They absolutely hate it, but they don't get off that webinar. I see still after 3 hours, I still see 150 people on that. So I'm not saying that you should do a 3 hour webinar, but we are very thorough and we don't accept a single dollar until they hear us. They have to hear us out, because what we don't want is a mismatched expectations, right? I
Right.
mean, I see a lot of syndicators actually sending the email and start collecting funds before, with or without webinar afterwards, right? But even though we're taking a bit of a risk on the money raise, we schedule the webinar 2 weeks out so that people have plenty of time to plan. And then we only start taking wires after. We won't even give them any paperwork or wires until the next day after the webinar, right? So I figure we do a very thorough job in painting the picture and to articulate what the opportunity is. And I think, I mean, we kind of improved it over the time.
So I don't know, I like that thought process though. You're probably saving yourself a lot of time though, because investors are going to be immediately asking you lots of questions, right? If you send that email out, right, and they may be anyway. However, if they know, well, we're just wait till after the webinar, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to give you some time to look at the information that I've already sent you, and then after this webinar, we're probably going to answer most of your questions.
Yes,
Right?
yes.
I mean, the most common questions, investors have. And so you're going to answer them during that call or that webinar. And
Yeah.
then, and I would imagine you're saving yourself a lot of time,
Right.
in the long run from all the emails and the phone calls, of answering the same questions over and over and over.
Absolutely. Efficiency is definitely a big advantage of doing this way. And the second thing is sometimes you hear investors saying that, I don't care about the deal. I trust the sponsor. I invest in you, right? So I'm flattered by that. Don't get me wrong. But I rather than want my investors to completely understand what the deal is
Yes.
before they send me that wire. So that's really important for me, actually. That's why I hold everybody off and say, okay, let's do the webinar and then let's start the investing. And we oversubscribed every single time, all 10 times. Usually we do a webinar and we get our commits in about 12 to 24 hours, all of it and then some. Takes about 2 to 3 weeks to get money in the bank, and we're at that point.
Right.
We're close, because me and my partner, we feel the weight on our shoulders when we syndicate these deals. These are the people we know, right? We know them from before, and the accountability is very high, right? So what happens is, like, we feed that weight on our shoulders. So that's why we go that extra mile in making sure that they understand what the opportunity is and make sure that they really know what they're getting into.
Yes, no, I really like that. I get that as well. It's like, it just, if you send something out, they want to immediately subscribe, but you do want them to know what the deal is, right? You want them to understand what they're getting into, because 6 months down the road, when there's something they didn't expect, then they're going to have questions and wonder what happened, right?
Right.
And you want to make sure you've already explained that. And so, I'm sure that's a lot different from how you started, right? When that first deal, you're probably, you all have changed this process. You've improved it greatly, I would imagine, since then. What are some other, improvements that you've made to your business, say, in the last year, that we could that would help all of us in our syndication business?
No, definitely the underwriting, right? As you do more deals and operating more deals, again, there is two trains of thought, right? So one train of thought says that, work on your business, not in your business. What that means is kind of give keys to the PM and just step back and manage by numbers and all that. So that's one. The other thing is, like, apply yourself as much as possible without stepping on anybody's toes and not pissing off too many people, right? So we kind of subscribe to the second end. It's some of it is just our personality, being in kind of, at least to feel that we are in control and we are making a difference every time. Because me and my partner are well-educated folks. I mean, we have done much more complex things in our day jobs than what we're doing here. And we always feel that, we don't try to make decisions for our property management company, but rather we bring things up for discussion. we create brainstorm sessions where we let the property management company make the final decision. But we always tell them, hey, think of us as a free consultants for you. We are here to do the analysis, some analysis on our side, bring problems, let them percolate up. Let's brainstorm, make decisions and all that. So we apply ourselves quite a bit in this business. Not because our property management doesn't know what they're doing or anything like that. It's just to add that extra layer of efficiency and this good decision making into the mix. So that is definitely makes a lot of difference. A stitch in time saves nine. So previously we don't used to go to our property for at least 1 to 2 weeks at the takeover, just to give them some breathing room. Then the latest thing is like, hey, that is the crucial time. If you don't do certain things in that first 2 weeks, the problem's getting bigger, right? So again, fine tuning. So I would say the most of the improvements that we did our business has been on how we manage our properties and how well we actually get involved in our day-to-day business. And we enjoy excellent relationship with our property management company. They manage the company that we are in right now. They manage about 2,000 units, and people love us. They don't feel that we are being intrusive or anything.
So Venkat, you meet somebody, and they see your success in this business, and they ask, you got 30 seconds to a minute with them, and they say, how do I get started in this business? How do I experience that same kind of success? What do you tell them?
I only can tell them what worked for me, right? I can make some guesses, but I rather not give advice to people based on a guess, rather what worked for me. It may not be most efficient or most easy way, but this is what worked for me. Go get with somebody, be in a group or somebody. I'm not saying that you have to stay there forever, but go join a group, get a mentor, learn everything that you need to in a short amount of time. And then the second stage of learning is the experience, the real world experience. Even the mentors themselves, we have a lot of mentors, right? Doesn't mean they're all doing actively deals. So probably they're not understanding what's happening right now on the ground. But this mentor usually accompanies with so many active sponsors. So you go talk to them, and as our AI kind of thing, right? I mean, basically you get discrete pieces of information and you stitch it together in your head, and that shows you the path on what's the right path versus the wrong path. Every time easy way is always not the right way. So this is what I would tell, go join a mentorship program or group or somewhere, but mentor or not, associate yourselves with people who are actively doing the deals. That's the best education that you can ever get, and definitely do that. And at the same time, it exposes you to a lot of passive investors and makes it much more easier to raise money and have the command on your subject. Do not go run after every shiny thing. Be very focused, very specific market, very specific asset class, very specific vintage. Master that, and people will see through that. When you talk to them, they'll see that you completely have command, and they'll follow wherever you want to go.
It's awesome. No, I really like that. And yeah, just who you associate with is a big thing, right? And gets, by jumping in and get some things rolling for you just by associating with those other people who are actively in this business. So Venkat, what's your buying criteria? So you're talking to a new broker and he says, what's your buying criteria? What do you tell him?
At this point, right now, I mean, obviously it evolved over the years as we become bigger, but right now we're looking anything $15 million and above. So about 200 units and above is what we look for. And again, we kind of zeroed in this markets. We don't look any other market. I'm sure all those other markets are good. It's just that I don't have experience in those markets. I don't know what to do with a deal. And we don't partner a lot with a lot of people. Again, we kind of run a tight ship, and see, me and my partner enjoys this relationship where obviously all important things we definitely run with each other, but we unilaterally sometimes make decision because I know exactly that he would be making this decision as well. So we enjoy that kind of thing, and that's part of the efficiency. And you don't do that if you keep changing partners every single deal. I mean, that's one of the things that we have seen. And also a lot of investors care about it. If you think about it, some of the investors actually tell us, hey, that's one of the things that we like. because it's the same thing that we can expect in a consistent fashion. So going back to your question, so yeah, 15 million or 200 units and above is pretty much what we look at. BNC product, strictly no A class. Again, I don't think we are there yet where the A class will start to see that rent growth because of the inventory has to stop for us, right? It's a lot of inventory these days. So yeah, and also what we look for is obviously that 1 mile median income, as high as possible, but no less than 35, 36, and assuming about $1,000 rent.
And what's been the hardest part of this syndication process or a business for you?
Actually, after you do this for a while, the only thing right now is the time. Other than that, everything, we've done these things so many times and we've perfected it. And even financing, which used to be so financing is a whole different ballgame, right? So many people just don't understand how financing works, but I invested significant amount of time. I'm wired in such a way that I don't accept things the way they are unless I understand how and why they are the way they are, right? So I invested quite a bit of time in understanding this financing. So you see, financing sometimes make a mediocre deal be a home run and the vice versa also, right? So again, what I would say is like every lender, I'm mostly speaking about the DUS lenders, Fannie and Freddie Mae, right? So they are in the business of making these loans to maximize their, the income or the fees for the bank, but minimizing the risk. So no lender will just willy-nilly give you the proceeds that you want. It's just you have to court them, and there you have to build a relationship, and have to, again, meeting people is very important. If you have to just fly out to, let's say, your lender in California just to shake his hand, I cannot tell you how important that is, because that lender will then introduce to the credit officer, who is the ultimate guy who's making decision on your loan, right? So you need to actually meet with these people and build these relationships.
We're going to have you back to just talk about financing.
Sure.
So we'd love to, pick your brain just about what you've learned about financing and us dig into that. But unfortunately today we're about out of time, but what's the number one thing that's contributed to your success?
I would say persistency. Because you got to be persistent. Sometimes, I'm telling you, the first 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months, especially when you try to get into this mentorship programs, the initial price tag, it can be steep. It's well worth it. I wouldn't advise anybody to do any other way, especially if this is not something that you have done before. I was an IT guy. I came here to United States to do this kind of work, right? I'm in electrical engineering, IT, and this is what I was bred to do, not to do real estate. But then again, I took a completely different turn. And especially for me, the education is really important. I don't have any of this education. Nobody taught how to do apartments in electrical engineering, right? So you need to get that education, and the first 3 to 6 months after paying that tag, doing everything the program tells you to do, but still you don't see any success. Don't lose hope. Don't lose hope. This business is worth. It will take care of you. You just have to be persistent, take no for an answer. You have to visualize that it is there, it is going to happen, right? And you have to trick your mind that your break is just around the corner. Every single day you have to tell yourself. And I see a lot of people just give up too soon.
I agree. I appreciate that very much, you explaining that. And how do you like to give back?
No, I'm more, we are both with our investors and even with the general public also, we are very open door. We believe in sharing. And you see that, and we are not unique about it. In real estate, you see so many awesome people willingly share, their success secrets and all that. And I'm really blessed to be in this group. I mean, let's say if you go to this cryptocurrency or stock tips, or you don't see this kind of sharing and the social behavior in those groups. But in real estate, we enjoy learning from each other. And the fact that discussing what worked and what did work, it's just fun to talk about it, right? So I'm more than willing to help out anybody who's getting started. And we are not very big, but we're a decent mid-sized company as of right now with about 2,400 units. But if anybody's getting started, I'm more than willing to talk to them.
Wow. Well, on that note, tell the listeners how they can learn more about your company and get in touch with you.
Sure. I mean, y'all can reach me at my email, venkat.avasarala@ravenmultifamily.com. I'm going to spell that Venkat as in Tango .avasarala. Sorry, I think I botched that then. So venkat@ravenmultifamily.com. VENKAT at Raven as the bird, RAVEN multifamily.com. All one word.
Great. Well, we'll have it in the show notes as well. Go ahead. Were you going to tell them something else?
No, yeah, that's pretty much it. That's the best way to get hold of me, depending on what your need is. I can put you in touch with whoever can alleviate the current situation that you are in, or if it's just something that you want to get started and want some advice, I can definitely help you with that.
It sounds like a great opportunity, Venkat. I really appreciate your time and just you sharing your expertise. I look forward to many conversations we're going to have about many topics that you're an expert in and that you can help our listeners to learn as well. One thing, you said this is not a business where you can make a mistake and live to tell the tale, and you also followed up about just the importance of coaching and getting into a mentoring program. And I agree completely. And surrounding yourself with people in the business that are doing this, right. And also, I've been so surprised too in the industry, just like you mentioned about just people being so willing to help,
yes,
and share. And, you can usually find someone that can answer your question,
yes,
whatever it may be. There's somebody that's already experienced that, and you can find somebody if you just connect with a few people. Thank you again, Venkat. I appreciate the listeners being with us today. I hope you all will also go to LifeBridge Capital and connect with me. And also go to our Facebook group, the Real Estate Syndication Show, so we can all learn from experts like Venkat and grow our businesses together. And we will talk to each of you tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Real Estate Syndication Show, brought to you by LifeBridge Capital. LifeBridge Capital works with investors nationwide to invest in real estate, while also donating 50% of its profits to assist parents who are committing to adoption. LifeBridge Capital, making a difference, one investor and one child at a time. Connect online at www.lifebridgecapital.com for free material and videos to further your success.